to a very special edition of Chalk Blocked, the world's sexiest DFS show for now. This is a Nimble with Numbers production. Make sure you hit up the YouTube, smash the subscribe button. Might as well get the little bell thingy, a little jingle for alerts. I'm Bo McBrayer, joined as always by Nimble himself, Scott Simpson. But this time he's right here with me. He's over here. He's on the other side of the room. I'm making faces at him right now. Yeah. I've welcomed Scott to Northern California this weekend with open arms. A refrigerator stocked to the gills. I'm also providing him with a list of chores and an invoice for gasoline reimbursement. It's not cheap over here. So it's not the only reason why this episode of Chalk Block is special. Every member of the fantasy football community has their favorite content creators and personalities. Scott's is obviously Denny Carter from NBC Sports Edge and the Time Zone Conspiracy Theory Reddit page. Mine is the incomparable, legendary Matthew Berry. Our guest today is my biggest fan, and fancies himself something of a football mind himself. He is an NFL insider and co-host of the Fantasy Football Podcast, Fantasy Focus Podcast, on a little outfit from the Connecticut countryside called ESPN. His favorite cologne is Retriever Puppy Breath. His guilty pleasure is cosplaying Northern California legends. He still gets carded at craft stores. He is the baby-faced assassin, Field of Dreams, Yates. How are you doing, Field?
That's the best entrance I've ever received. Best introduction, I suppose, I've received. I sort of felt for a minute like a celebrity. That was wonderful. It's good to be on with you guys. And I always love talking fantasy and chopping it up with the two of you. So this will be a lot of fun here tonight.
Yes, sir.
A little jealous I'm not in Northern California, but I'll let it ride. I'll let it slide this time.
It's hot.
It's hot. You know what, though? I'm in Connecticut, where I would say on average we have a decidedly cooler temperature, but the heat index it's 104 here right now. So we've got a scorcher. A heat wave on the East Coast sounds like it's extended all the way to the West Coast as well.
Yeah, this is normal for us, but Scott's used to that DC humidity, but yeah. It's also funny. It's funny because he'll it was 94 and it felt like 102. I was like, well, here it's 108 and it feels like 108.
Yeah, ours is it's all sorts of hot here, but we'll take it, because we have this rule where if you're going to complain about the winter, you can't complain about the summer as well. You got to either not complain at all or complain all the time. And I'm going to go with the not complaining at all mindset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Scotty, how you doing? Scotty.
I'm doing well. I'm not going to complain at all because I'm just grateful to be here with one of my best friends, to be at his house, to get to meet him after all this time. It's been a long year or so of COVID and all those things have been going on with, the whole country. And so to be able to be here and to be talking to Field Yates, who I'm sorry, he's my favorite ESPN guy, Bo.
Just
there we
go.
For the record, I just want to say, love Field Yates so much and so grateful that you're here. Last time we talked, I was getting a golden retriever puppy, and we have our golden retriever puppy. I have one question for you, Field. After having my golden retriever for a couple months, when you were being kissed all over at the airport, was there any peeing going on? Was there any excitement pee happening? Because mine does it all the time. I know she's a puppy, but Winter just sees anybody, and there's just running over to the mailman. There's some pee down there.
Yeah, fortunately, Cisco at that age was already past the excitement pee, which that'll come soon. And if anybody is watching right now and happened to catch that I got up from my seat, it was because Cisco had to be let out, which on a day like today is pretty uncommon. He prefers to spend his days inside when it's 104 out there. I hope the Golden's treating you well, though. I absolutely love Golden Retriever puppies. In my next life, I will find a way to freeze them at the size at which you pick up a puppy because they're the cutest thing ever. But they also grow more loyal and more loving over time. So Cisco in his 75-pound form is just as great as he was in his 12-pound form a year and a half ago.
My wife is scared because Winter is trending to Cisco's size as well. She's huge. She's strong. We play tug of war where we get all bitey and after each other. And my wife's like, this
Oh,
dog's
yeah.
going to be big. And I'm like, oh, it's the best dog ever. And she only pees with the excitement pee outside or once in a while when the cleaners come. And so it doesn't normally happen. She never pees in the house besides that. Like, she's the best dog ever besides that, just
There
little
you go.
excitement. She loves people so much. So no complaints. And, London loves her. And so that's what matters the most. Let's jump in here. We know, from just trying to get you on the show, which we're so grateful that you can jump on, that you have been in the midst of wedding season. And so, by the way, do go follow Field Yates. If you're not following him, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on. Follow him at Field Yates on Twitter. But you've been on like wedding season kind of, hiatus around. And so we want to do a little Wedding Crashers kind of with you to describe your wedding experiences the last few months. We have a few quotes, and I'm going to read them, and then tell us which one you think kind of fits the bill for you. How many weddings have you gone to, by the way, before we jump in here?
I think we're at 6 or 7 already, with a handful more upcoming. So it sort of never stops, and we're kind of at that age in our life. My wife and I. You also got the 2-for-1 special this year, right? I mean, all the COVID wedding postponements in 2020. We're pushed back in many cases to 2021. So we are making up for lost time. Cheers to you, gentlemen. And so we had also some special weddings this summer with both of Chapin's siblings getting married. So it was a big summer for sure on the wedding circuit.
I love it. Okay, so I'm sure you're a fan of Wedding Crashers, classic. One of my favorite movies. You've got Vince Vaughn in there. You've got Bradley Cooper in there. Owen Wilson. A bunch of great quotes. You got Will Ferrell in there playing just a terrible person. So here's the 4 choices. We're going to read down the 4, and then you kind of let us know which one describes your experience. All right. So number 1.
Okay.
It's wedding season, kid. That's A. All right. Number 2.
Yep. Okay.
I'm a little too traumatized to have a scone. Next, how they say you only use 10% of our brains. I think we only use 10% of our hearts. And then the last one, big tree, fall hard. So out of all those, what kind of resonates with you after 6, 7, 10, 12 weddings, do you think?
Probably, yeah, I would say it's wedding season, because it was just relentless. And it was wonderful. We had an absolute blast. We have so far, and we look forward to more ahead, which will be great. But it's wedding season. So that one applies. But Wedding Crashers is one of those movies that somehow gets better with age. It's one of those movies that I don't care what the circumstances are. If I'm on the couch and Wedding Crashers is on, there's a non-zero chance I'm watching it in its entirety every single time. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's one of those cinematic masterpieces that people will talk about for centuries, like Gone with the Wind, Citizen Kane. You have all these classic Godfather movies, and then you have Wedding Crashers. It's right in there with them. I mean, you have timeless, relatable humor with some crassness that I really relate to. And I think a lot of the people out there that like movies like when you can just cut loose and be uncensored.
With you 100%. It's definitely amongst my most rewatched movies of all time. I love it.
So I got to ask you another Wedding Crashers related question.
Okay.
Which Wedding Crashers rule do you swear by? Is it A, never use your real name? B, no one goes home alone? C, be the life of the party? Or D, when it stops being fun, break something?
Wow. Definitely not D. I thought we were going to throw in, what was it, rule number 76, play like a champion. I suppose the answer would be never go home alone, because I'm married. I'm a married man. I'm an old soul. So
that'd be a bad look for you.
Yeah. So you go home alone when you're married. It just, that means either that's not a good look for anybody involved. So that would be my answer. B will be my answer in this case. And play like a champion, because you always got to play like a champion at a wedding. It's the one time, hopefully, that you're celebrating a friend of yours or friends of yours. And you got to go hog wild for those occasions and let them know just how much that friendship or relationship as a family member means to you.
That's a great answer, Field.
I'll take it. I think you muted yourself. Maybe you both got muted.
Sorry. Okay. That's my fault. So what's the jam, the wedding jam that you've heard at every wedding? You're like, oh, I've heard this is the one that's on, like, every single wedding plays it. Maybe not you're tired of it, but you're like, this is the modern, like, for us, it was Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. That was what we would always kind of sing growing up. And like, just the beer would be thrown around and people would just be going nuts. So for the last, month or two, what's the album anthem now that people are getting married to?
Probably, I think that Living on a Prayer is still pretty darn popular. Wagon Wheel is played at almost every wedding I go to, and Shout is going to be played at every wedding that I go to, which a classic, timeless. It's been, yes, exactly. Speaking of wedding crashers. So Shout comes to mind for me, and I'm trying to think of anything more modern. I feel like music's evolved, and I feel like sometimes what happens is we don't realize hits are classic jams until like 5, 10, 15 years later. So maybe some of the songs that we're listening to right now or that have been released in the past 5 years or so will eventually be revered as classics. But as of right now, I tend to think it's mostly just songs that were popular 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think, if you have a classics like the more upbeat modern ones like Cupid Shuffle or like Electric Slide, you have all these like get people moving type dances. Then you have your really romantic ballads that everybody wants to hear. And it's really cool. I think, maybe it's regional because some of the weddings I've been to, there's a lot of gangster rap and break dancing and all kinds of stuff that I cannot do. Like, I just don't. I like the music. I just don't have the ability to move with it like the other people that are enjoying it more. But I see a lot of that in this area where it's just people cutting loose on fire. And I'm like, well, I'm a little out of water here.
You need a little bit more liquid courage is what I'm sort of surmising. Is that a couple more beers and you convince yourself that you are ready for Dancing with the Stars?
I told Scott that you were full of wisdom, and he didn't believe me. So
there you have it. I'm here to provide a little bit of it.
That's not true. I would never say Field doesn't have anything. I'll just tell you this, Field. I do podcasts with a lot of people all the time. I have 3 podcasts a week, so it's been going hard since the end of the season. It's all the time. You came on the Fantasy Football Hot Stove with Jamie Calendo and myself. It was a great time. We loved it. It was our most viewed episodes, and so it was tremendous, right? And so I tell my wife all the time. She knows Denny Carter because we go golfing. He lives here in Maryland, and so Denny's an actual friend. So Bo, not just somebody who I like. He said, "Who's your favorite fantasy analyst?" I said, "Denny." Mostly because I get to hang out with him and go golfing and be an actual relationship, which is really important, I think, in this world where we're kind of so alone and we're so content driven to have other people who can just bounce off ideas and humanize you. But I would say this: she remembered you because I said I feel Yates, and she goes, "Is he the tall, dark, and handsome guy?" And I go, "Yeah, no, that's him." And she goes,
there we go.
I'll watch this episode. So shout out, Rose. He is a good-looking man. You're part of the show. The tagline is, Bo. I'm gonna mute myself, Bo. Hit him. What's this tagline of the show, Bo?
The world's sexiest DFS show for now, and it is for now, right now. It's
of course. Hey, it was the minute the two of you made it the show. It was so, and don't let yourself hear anybody say anything otherwise.
Right, and we're going to keep going until somebody disputes it, and then we're just going to smash them anyway.
Yeah, come on, you're not going to listen to them.
Squash them like a bug, and then I'm going to come back here.
That's right. There you go. I love that kind of attitude right there.
Yeah, we are the sexiest DFS show, and prove us wrong. I dare you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever has or ever will.
So Scott's been bugging me. He's been here for less than 24 hours now. And he's still bugging me about going into the kitchen and making stuff. So, Scott, do you have any questions about food for Fields? Like, get some ideas from him?
So here's the thing, Field. I want to know if you had an opportunity to kind of, work with the maestro like I'm getting to do. I got to watch him make breakfast, eggs. There's lamb sausages today, black pepper lamb sausage. Just ridiculous. Sorry, go ahead. it was just watching somebody make just simple eggs for breakfast became like watching like just a beautiful orchestration of food being created. And then I ate it hot. It was great. So if you could hang out with Bo and get what I was getting, the one-on-one chef treatment, and you could go big,
Okay.
whatever you want, not just breakfast, because we're doing it up. We're doing pizza today. We're doing tacos. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We're just eating our way across this weekend. And so if you could do that too, and you had a chance to like bake with Bo or grill or barbecue with Bo, what would you do?
Barbecue with Bo. Listen, I think that Bo has limitless talent in many things, but certainly his culinary skills are outstanding. But I think it'd have to be barbecue. Barbecue is something of a regional experience, or I should say that there are various regions that lay claim to being the best barbecue region. But I can't say that Connecticut is known for its barbecue. There are some great barbecue joints around here. There's actually one in downtown Harvard called Bear's Barbecue that everybody loves with good reason. But I would love to barbecue with Bo. What's your specialty within the barbecue division?
Probably pulled pork. I've gotten better at everything, but I enjoy making pulled pork because it typically has a really long cook time, and you're required to drink 1 beer per hour of cook time. It's part of the rules. I mean, I sent you the guidelines for barbecuing. And that's rule number 1 is it's 1 beer per hour of cook time. And
that sounds excellent.
So pulled pork, anywhere depending on how big the pork shoulder is, you're looking at 8 to 12 hours of cook time.
Yeah. Man, I'm all the way in.
And if you count tall boys as 1 beer, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, you sure are. I like that. All right, I'm into it. I'm in. Give it some barbecue action.
When I go to Connecticut, I'll just go and I'll bring some charcoal, and I'll bring my spice rubs. And actually, I probably don't need to bring them. You probably already have them.
Perfect.
No, I love that. I would say, too, that I would like to have some of his beef brisket. He showed me his knives. He has this huge brisket knife that I've seen him cut brisket before that he's cooked. And it was ridiculously juicy. And I lusted over the internet. I looked at his meat, and it was just so succulent. And I was like, man, Bo, I want some brisket one day. So maybe we'll get there, and next time I visit. Or maybe I can bring some brisket.
So if I'm making brisket or pulled pork, what beer are you going to drink with that, Field?
Ooh, you know what? That's a good question. I would drink some local beer. So if we came out to your spot, I would drink some Northern California beer. I always say, people always ask what's your favorite beer. If you could have 1 beer for the rest of your life, what would it be? The answer is I like all beer. I'm an equal opportunity beer drinker, and I don't have 1 beer that I say is like the only beer I have to drink. So that beautiful can that has a dog on it would be my choice if that's from Northern California that day. But I'm the kind of person that wants to explore. There's a Maximus Colossal IPA. I want to try all beers that are available to me. Is that 9% ABV? Maybe not 9% if I'm drinking 1 per hour. So maybe like 5%, 6%. But 9%.
It makes the cook taste better. It's science.
Yeah, I might not be able to taste it because I might not be awake for it if I'm drinking 9% beers.
No, I'm drinking this Hell or High watermelon from 21st Amendment in San Francisco.
So good.
And it's if you like watermelon taste, it's 4.9. So you can have a couple sessions of these and stay light on your feet and not get crushed. And it's important not to get crushed when you're hanging out with Bo because he goes hard. He kept me up. I flew in. I went to bed at 6 a.m. my time in East Coast time. And then I woke up at like 9 my time, East Coast time. I had like 3 hours of sleep. This guy goes hard. So, a couple beers does help. The 9%ers are not going to help. This is going to be the end of the show, Field. I'll crack this at the end, and then I'll have pizza to soak it up. So, I can't do any more of those. Bo, show some of yours. Bo's got some great ones. He's got some big dogs up there with him as well. What are you drinking, Bo?
So I actually met you guys in the middle because I like the 9%. I love the extra hoppy flavor. I like the extra maltiness. But this is the Voodoo Ranger IPA.
Oh yeah, it's good.
And it's a great all around beer. And then I have a Gummy Worms Chewy Pale Ale, and it's got really nice artwork on it. It's also delicious.
I'm into that.
Yeah, we're going to be beering it up. After the show, it's going to be a pizza. Basically, it's a seminar. I'm going to have Nimble pull up a chair and just watch me make pizza. And we're gonna make our own beer. we're each going to have our own personal pie, and we're also going to make a Detroit-style pan pizza.
I'm into it.
Field, I'm so excited to be able to do this. He's going to make a pizza for me, like a master. It's like going into like an Italian village or something, which I've done. When I traveled over in Europe, I was a Fulbright teacher to the UK from Maryland. I did a Fulbright teacher exchange. I lived in the UK for a year. And during our breaks, they would every 6 weeks, you get a week or 3 weeks off, depending on, winter break, spring break, things like that. So we traveled all around. And that was one of my favorite things, was just eating across and drinking across Europe and kind of understanding how to do all these things. So getting to watch somebody like that, going in and having like these, Italian winemakers have me taste their wine. I'm just like, this is incredible. And they're like, $10. I'm like, I will give you $100. Like, this tastes like gold. To be sitting in like the lap of luxury here, doing that with Bo, like, I'm just so excited. That's the adrenaline I'm running on right now. So I one day we'll come do that with you. I know we will.
I'm in. You had me at pizza.
Yeah, pizza's good. Pizza's life. Pizza's a sacred document. That's why I tell guys, like, you can have rules for a lot of things that can be bent or broken, especially food related, because there's so many ways to combine flavors. But
sure.
That's kind of my little, that's what I stand on, is I don't let people tell me that when they put certain toppings on pizza that it's still pizza. It's like, it might taste good, but it's still not pizza anymore. Like, you canceled out the fact that it's pizza by putting certain toppings. I'm not going to name them because it's just, it makes me, it irritates me. But pizza is a sacred document. You don't smirch a sacred document of pizza with unapproved toppings. So that being said, Field, I know you told that line by saying all beers are good. Well, you're right about that. But I want you to get controversial for me. I want you to tell me if you have any food takes that other people might not agree with.
Yeah, I've got a few of them. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate avocados, but I think avocados are so overrated, like completely, entirely overrated. What I do hate is I hate salmon. I hate it. Salmon's disgusting. Salmon is revolting. It smells awful. Tastes bad. I don't care how you prepare it. You can have your salmon. Go throw my salmon back into the ocean or the river. Probably the river.
So you're like,
are you guys salmon guys?
Yeah. It depends though. If it's fresh wild Alaskan salmon, I can tolerate it. But I'm kind of with you there. Salmon's really rich, and it's too rich for its own good. Like, I don't want that fish to taste that much. Like, it's got so much going on. It's too rich.
Totally.
But we are judging you. Like, we're writing this down.
Good. Judge away.
I'm like, you sound like Will Ferrell from Step Brothers. I said I didn't want salmon. I said it 4 times.
Hey, you can judge me for my salmon takes as much as you want. How about you guys? Do you guys have a controversial food take that you want to throw back at me?
I'm going to give mine, but I'm going to first say that I'm with you. My wife would get salmon consistently, and it would just be gross, and I would be like, you need to cook mine way more than everybody else's. And she's like, well, you're overcooking. I was like, no, I want it to be like fried and crispy because I don't want to taste it. It's gross. And she's like, we can't eat it anymore. Then I go, then I don't want to eat it anymore then because I don't like it.
Good.
And so we stopped eating it years ago, and we replaced it with other fish, which is fine. I'm not a big fish guy myself, but here's my favorite fish. Yeah, we were in Hawaii, and they had a fresh caught ona. We had it that day. They caught it in the morning. It's a white fish underneath the meat.
Yeah.
It's so delicious. That I'll eat a fresh fish like that. But salmon to me and the farm salmon stuff, no, I'm out. And to me, sour cream and cottage cheese and yogurt and things like that smell fermented and that are creamy are gross. I just can't help myself. I love cheese. I love all cheeses. Yep. Cheeses are great. I love, camembert. I love all the kind, every cheese across the world I'll eat, in whatever country it's from. But if it's cottage cheese and it's slimy and it's gross and it smells, I'm out. And Bo says I'm dumb. So, we can do.
Yeah, that is a pretty dumb take. I'm not going to lie to you. That being said, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah. Everybody's entitled to their own wrong opinion.
That's correct.
Especially on delicious dairy products that make everything better.
Exactly.
My dad's still in the dairy industry, so it's like blasphemy to say such nasty things about sour cream and cottage cheese that make everything around them complement them, elevate them. But that's just me. My most controversial food take isn't really that uncommon. I don't think, because I like a lot of different foods, but I don't like raw onions or tomatoes, even though I love cooked onions or tomatoes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I like raw onions, like in my sandwiches and stuff. But I definitely prefer cooked. 100% prefer cooked.
I can't do it.
All right. Well, again, what we were just saying about wrong opinions.
I'm with you on the salmon though.
So I have a question for you, Field. How do you like your steak cooked? What's your steak looking like when you go out to a nice steak joint and you're like, I'm getting a good steak tonight. I want to get, maybe it's a filet mignon, whatever it is. I don't know what your cut is, but how do you like it coming back when you slice it down the middle?
So my dad taught me this trick a long time ago. My dad was never, and still no, he's not much of a red meat eater. But when we would go to dinner, he would always say, how would you like your dish prepared? Whether it was the temperature of steak or anything else that had some sort of scale that the chef could say, however the chef wants it, because it was a respect thing, right, Bo? You're the chef. I'm going to respect you. And 99 times out of 100, if you go to a restaurant and you use the how the chef prefers it line, and it's a piece of meat, it's going to be medium rare, right? Like, what is the beef dish where the meat is well done? I suppose like meatloaf or like beef stroganoff are the only times where you see someone really cook their meat all the way through consistently. Maybe teriyaki, but give me some medium rare meat, just as a chef likes it.
Boom. That's exactly how you should answer that question.
I was going to say, like, Bo, I mean, you're such a chef enthusiast that, like, you might even, like, are you like a rare plus kind of guy, or which way do you go?
It really depends. I actually like certain kinds of steak rare, but if I'm going with my preferred dream steak, it's a big New York strip, because I like the balance of meaty flavor and fat. It's not as fatty as a ribeye, not as lean and gristly as a sirloin. So I go to the New York strip and I cook it to 131 degrees, which is low medium rare.
Love it. I love how you do it by like actual temperature. I just do it by descriptive temperature.
That's the only way I know it's exactly how I want it every time.
Yep. Smart man.
If you're going, you can actually use the hand test. You can look that up, where the texture of where you squeeze your thumb or the palm of your hand, if your steak feels like that, it gives away what the temperature on the inside is based on how it responds to when you press on it.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, I learned something new. Okay.
So they're more rare. When you squeeze your palm up by the thumb, it's softer, and then it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So rare, medium, well done.
Wow, how about that? Okay, I'm going to look this up and refine it for the next time I'm cooking.
Yeah. So let's transition to football. You've got football. We're football guys. We all live for the game. Like, all three of us are just junkies, ready for the season to get going. The preseason, for me, it's just like, I'm looking around thinking I was a degenerate, but people are betting on preseason games, and I'm not about that life. I've been just kind of prepping for week one the whole time. But I want you to pound the podium. I want you to stand up and shout to the rooftops. Anybody who's going to listen, who's your guy? Like, the one player, could be any position. It could even be a defensive player. It could be a player that doesn't even have a starting role yet. Who's your guy that you're going to stand up and defend his honor?
Yeah, so I love the question, and I'm interested. You guys could provide me with some feedback here. Is that so? I feel like the term like guy, like he's my guy, is frequently used in fantasy football. But I want to make sure, like, do you guys know? Did somebody create that term first? Like, do I owe it to somebody else? Like, or is that's commonly used in that?
I owe it to a lot more, because that's my entire draft strategy, is getyourguy.com. So
yeah, there you go. Right.
You and I both need to know.
I'm going to say,
someone finds out.
I think it's generic enough that you're treading on that kind of common experience. I've heard lots of people say, get your guy. So
public domain.
Gotcha. I'm working on a piece right now. I don't write a ton anymore, but I am writing a piece that will run at some point later this preseason. Basically, whether you want to call it my guys, field favorites, I don't know, something along those lines. We can think of something crafty and unique. However, I'm writing this piece. And the captain of this team this year is CeeDee Lamb. And I understand that. So the point of having a guys list is not highlighting players that no one's ever heard of, or highlighting players that people like have, I don't need to be talking exclusively about Christian McCaffrey or, Travis Kelce or something like that. But really what I think where I think analysis in fantasy football is really at its finest is that, people want to know who is this year's James Robinson. And who's going to be the top 5 running back that no one's talking about right now? And I'm like, if I felt strongly that there was one, I'd be talking about him, right? And I'd be talking about him like I think a lot of people will be talking about that player. So I don't think that's the analysis that I individually am looking for, because that might involve like good fortune, right? Hey, I think so-and-so is going to be a top 5 running back. Well, it only comes to pass because last year, Leonard Fournette got cut, right? Like right before the season began. If someone gets cut unexpectedly or hurt, you might change your dialogue a little bit. But anyways, I think where people really sort of make their hay is when they're talking about players that are going to level up. And it doesn't have to be from the bottom to the top. It might be from the bottom to medium range. Like, hey, this guy, I don't know, like he's completely irrelevant. I think you should pick him up because I think he's going to be a useful bench stash, bye-week fill-in. Or maybe it's like, something, I think this guy is going to break through from good player to excellent player or star player. And that's where I'm at with CeeDee Lamb. I think there's a chance that a year from now, we're talking about him as the number 1 wide receiver in Dynasty, as the top 5 wide receiver in Dallas, the player that you want in the second round or back end of the second round, someone who is in the same breadth as Von Diggs or Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, that kind of player. Now, I know that wide receiver is absurdly deep, right? And it's hard to get CeeDee Lamb into your top 10 rankings this year, even in the most optimistic of forecasts. But he's my guy this year. Special talent. Volume's going to be great. Defense is going to be bad. Mostly, though, special talent. Because while role matters, obviously, in fantasy, a lot of times with wide receivers, what we've seen is that, like, wide receivers can be successful with bad quarterback play. DeAndre Hopkins did it for years, and Andre Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald did it with bad quarterback play. It does not require a great quarterback. There are also players who are one of 3 great wide receivers on a team who are just the greatest. And as a result of that, they finish with a top 5 or 7 season. Ultimately, the most important factor in production in fantasy is, are you good at the game? And that's what I believe CeeDee Lamb is. Great at the game. So he's my guy this year.
I love that. Last year, I named my team in redraft CD's TDs because I got CeeDee Lamb on my team, and I said CD's trademark. I put it on Twitter. I said, it's mine. I said, except CeeDee Lamb, you can have it. CeeDee Lamb, that's yours. Like, you're the man, like, I love you. And so that take is just like one of my favorite takes, and I'm trying to get him. I got him in the second round in best ball the other day. I went Alvin Kamara, CeeDee Lamb, Allen Robinson. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so strongly about this team. So I'm with you 100%. And next year, even further down the line, this guy is going to be the alpha in Dallas. And Dak's a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. So you're speaking my language, Field. And then Bo, I'm going to throw it to him. He's a Cowboys fan, so he's got to love this.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love to hear the optimism, especially when you see how special of a talent he is all the way through college and into the NFL. Falling to 17 at Dallas last year was a dream come true. And then he showed up. Like, even when he had bad quarterback play after the first 5 games, you saw the guy not really drop off. And that's what you look for. And I look to him to take over that X role this year, swapping places with Michael Gallup. And I think all 3 of these guys can go over 1,000 yards this season. We have enough volume to go around to maybe have one gigantic performance, but I think it's more likely that you're going to see all 3 guys eat. But that's
all 3 can eat, by the way, which is the part that's exciting. All 3 can.
Yep, go Cowboys.
Your turn, Bo.
Oh, I stole your question before. If you want to steal it back.
No, I mean, I want to know from you, Bo, who's your guy?
Oh yeah, it's well advertised. Everybody who follows me knows that I'm as high on Kyle Pitts as anybody else in the world.
Let's go.
Kyle Pitts' projection for himself might be lower than mine, And that's probably because he comes from a working class family, so he's probably going to be modest if you asked him what he's going to do this year. So yeah, I think Kyle Pitts, his size and speed and skill, people don't give him credit for how good at receiving he is. He played tight end, he played wing, he played slot, he played X all season the last both years. He didn't qualify for the Mackey his junior or his sophomore year because he didn't have enough snaps at tight end. He would have qualified for a Mackey finalist if he had even logged enough snaps at tight end. And give this guy 125 targets this year, and there's no reason if he stays healthy that he won't score 12 touchdowns, because that's why they got him. He's a touchdown scoring machine. Even if his volume is 100 targets and he catches 70 balls for 850 yards, he's going to score over 10 touchdowns if he's healthy. He's unguardable one-on-one. There's not a professional defensive player that can guard him one-on-one. I know that for a fact. And that's what I said. I'm predicting 85 for 1,200 and 12 touchdowns for Kyle Pitts' rookie year, which is going to smash every tight end record. But part of my hot takes article that I did about every team was Kyle Pitts is going to cause more ruckus next offseason because we're going to be arguing over whether or not he deserves to stay as tight end eligible.
How about that? I love it. All right, that's spicy right there. But you got to bring the heat, right? Kyle Pitts brings the heat, and why not bring the heat yourself? I dig it. I mean, I'm not here to tell you that there's no Kyle Pitts slander allowed in my vocabulary. So I totally dig it.
Yeah, he's my guy.
Oh, okay, so now I guess I have to go too about who my guy is.
Yes,
so
you do.
I've been outspoken. I went on Matt Harmon's show to pump my wide receiver 2 theory, which, by the way, I'm so excited about, and I'm working on it. I was working on it on the plane, and a gentleman next to me who owns a race car business, he has people come to tracks, and he runs racing events, not against each other, but he teaches people how to drive their sports car as fast as they can legally on tracks, and he's a really cool guy. Met him on the plane. I explained to him about wide receiver 2 theory. Last year, 8 out of the top 10 guys that I picked got in the top 28. And so, CeeDee Lamb was in there, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Ridley was the poster boy for it last year. I picked him over Julio, made the call on the Fantasy Millionaires. That was my guy. And so this year, my secret guy, who was not a secret anymore, but was Elijah Moore. And so I'm a little concerned, though, about what happened to him. He's a little dinged up now. And, quads, they heal. I know they're not growing like Rashad Bateman. That scares the crap out of me. Like, I can't believe that, But anyway, hope he gets healed up and hope he's just better than ever. But I'm still a little worried. How are you on Elijah Moore? Because that was my guy full gusto 2 days ago. And now I'm just a little like, okay. I hope I'm okay. Hope he's okay,
Yeah, no, I hope he's okay. And, I think it's possible that no Jet this year is worth it in fantasy. My concerns, I love Elijah Moore, though. All the preseason hype has been amazing. It's been so fun. I loved him as a prospect coming out of Ole Miss, so I'm excited in all those ways. But I would say that a player who, at his size, is probably not going to have huge touchdown equity, typically, right? And you just are concerned that between the injury, what we think will probably be a work in progress, to put it nicely, Jets offense, that I think that probably push comes to shove, I'm going to end up without Jets on my roster. But if I'm picking one, believe it, it's actually Corey Davis, believe it or not. I think Corey Davis could be the one.
I'm adjusting my ranks daily, and especially when Field Yates shares a perspective. So I appreciate that. So because Elijah Moore is dinged up, I'm going to say instead, I love Austin Eckler. And I know it's not like a hot take to say you love Austin Eckler, but I have him ranked as my RB5. And so I'm just going to say I've had him there from the beginning, and I think he has like top 3 upside. And I know everyone has said that, but I love the role that Lombardi's going to have for him in that offense. And I love Herbert being able to trust him and being able to understand how he can maximize space and time and leveraging. I'll just say this. I love playing Madden. As a kid, I played every season of every game. I would play every game, and I'd play the first quarter as offense, and whoever had the ball, I'd be offense, and then I'd play the second quarter's defense. And I'd switch back and forth the whole time, play every game, and I loved it so much. I knew all the players. You understand space and time, and I think if they can get Eckler in space and time, he can have 100 receptions, for, 800, 900 yards, and maybe get 1,600 yards total. If he does that, he's an RB3 at the very top, maybe an RB1 every week. That's awesome. So, he's got the potential. Yeah. So I love him. That's my guy that I'm going to argue about. I've got him as the most owned running back on all of the different best ball teams, or most, drafted, or whatever it is. I don't want to be, insensitive.
Yeah, he recently was on the Adam Schefter podcast. Sheffy, obviously, as you guys know, big on the fantasy. And Austin Eckler mentioned how, he's sort of the vision, the hope would be that he's kind of like the Chargers version of Alvin Kamara, because the new offensive coordinator in Los Angeles, Joe Lombardi, previously worked in New Orleans. So there's a chance maybe you see some Alvin Kamara type usage. Kamara, 21 games over the past 2 seasons with at least 15 fantasy points. That's 10.5 per year. And that was when there was only a 16-game schedule. So imagine what kind of damage could be done in this role, in this offense. Looking forward to seeing how how the Chargers look with some Saints influence.
Yeah, and when they gave the ball to Alvin Kamara, he averaged 1.5 fantasy points per touch. That was just because of the volume of the receptions. His rookie season, he was just being peppered with the ball. He's always had, 81 receptions? Is that what it is, Bo, every year?
81 each his first 3 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's so consistent. If Eckler can do that, I love them both in space and time. Eckler bounces off people, man. That guy's got a low center of gravity. He knows how to move his feet just like Kamara does. He's got a lot of upside in that back and forth. They're going to throw the ball. All these games are going to have to be shootouts. You got Patrick Mahomes in there. You're not going to go low flow. You're going to go like balls to the wall. So you're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to open up the field. They've got Mike Williams, who's back. Hopefully he's going to be healthy the whole year. And then Keenan Allen. And then underneath you have Austin Eckler. I love that. That's just a great recipe to kind of just score points and get the game going. 30 touchdowns is kind of like a baseline for Herbert. Sure. So if you can get like 6 of those from Eckler, and then he rushes for 5 more, 6 more, you got 12 touchdowns. I love that. He's got a great PPR upside. So that's my guy.
Yeah. In on that. I love it. I love it, guys. I love it. I love Austin Eckler.
All right, Scott, you want to toss him the last big time finish? Brought to you by BigTimeFlavor.co.
Yeah.
You want to toss it? You want to toss it to the field?
Toss. Yes, no. So I want to know, what is your hot take? Surprise us. Hot take, crazy thing. You don't want to tell anybody something. It's not a Sherlock. It's not something that you're going to be like, this is what I believe in the streets. This is just something like, this could happen, and I think it's cool if it does.
Okay, so something that could happen this year, and I think if it's cool if it does. Trey Lance, top 5 quarterback in 2021.
That is awesome.
I don't know, but it would be pretty sweet if it happens, right?
There's a story behind it, because you have an offense that can really move the football, and if he's able to operate not in an RG3 role at all, but just being able to understand that, Shanahan had RG3, and so he understands what not to do, kind of how to avoid having him be what was RG3's downfall, being hit in space and time, and kind of throw the football, be effective, kind of moving the ball in the pocket around. He could be really effective at the goal line, really unstoppable down there. He could do a Cam Newton and get, so many rushing touchdowns like when he was the QB1 a couple years ago. So I agree with you. That's a great take, man. I love that. But what do you think about that?
I love it because you have a very talented individual who has all the future in front of him, and a great system for quarterback efficiency. And that's really what you were kind of worried about with Lance coming into the NFL, was where's he going to land, and is it going to cater to his advancement? And going to San Francisco is perfect, because that system eliminates bad decisions pre-snap. Just saying, okay, I'm going to take landscape pre-snap, I'm going to see what my first read is, and I have a or we're running the ball 70% of the plays. Trey Lance is going to thrive in that, because his skill, his athleticism is better than anything he had. And I say that if he wants to be better than RG3, just don't let him play at Washington. Just don't let him play on that field. Don't let him play on that field.
Sure. I like it. I like the thoughts here, gentlemen.
All right, Bo. I like all your hot takes. You got a bunch of hot takes. I have a hot take too.
Hot hot takes.
Yeah, this is definitely sponsored. Bo, can you mute yourself over there, man? What are you doing, brother? Okay, there we go. All right. This is definitely sponsored by Hotbox, which crazy. We're out here at the hub. So we tweeted out a picture of beer and like gummy worms and like fun stuff for hanging out. And in that was the ingredients for Hotbox. We're going to be making some because Bo, he is so generous. He has it out and about and he shares with everybody. He's like a good Samaritan of Hotbox. And so, do you have some now at your house? Do we need to send you more? How's your hot box looking?
I do. The sauce is basically gone. It's doing, but it's great. It was delicious. That was it.
Need to give him. He needs.
That's all you need.
Yeah, he needs some more. We need to send him some more. So we'll send him some more. All right. Here's my spicy hot take. For me, I love Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers runs it back this year. And I think Aaron Rodgers, he takes his team to the Super Bowl because he's the captain now. And this is not just my take. My man over at the Fantasy Millionaires, Mike Collins, he mentioned it to me. He just said that's what he's doing. He's doing
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. And I think he really showed that in the press conference. And I trust Aaron Rodgers. If this is the last year he plays in Green Bay, he's going to give it his all. And if it comes down to him and Brady, and it's 4th and 8 from the 8, for a touchdown, he's going to try at least. He's not going to be robbed of the opportunity to try. And that's what you want. You want a shot. And I'm giving it to him because I think he gets that shot. And he's not the greatest of all time or anything like that, but I think he's one of my favorite people to watch play football. And he definitely didn't get his fair chance last year. I think all of football community groaned when we saw that play not happen and a field goal kind of take this. It just Matt LaFleur was the most. He went for it on 4th down like 42% of the time during the regular season. And then he got in the moment against Tom Brady and he didn't understand where he was. He didn't understand the moment. It was a Joe Montana type thing. It was a back and forth. He didn't get it. And you know what? This year, I think he's going to get it because Aaron Rodgers is the captain now. So I think that's where I think it kind of goes. He gets a Super Bowl ring and he kind of just moves on to wherever he's going to go next. And maybe he takes Devontae Adams with him. Maybe he just pulls him away. I'm not sure if he locks him up or whatever, but that could happen.
I love it, guys. I'm all in on Aaron Rodgers. No reason not to be.
Yep, in NorCal. That's the cosplay reference that I had in the intro. It's like Field Yates set up like Aaron Rodgers headed to camp, backpack, the Dunder Mifflin shirt on. Yeah, you got to support the guys, and he's from the same hometown as me, so I'm happy to call him one of my favorite players as well. I'd love to see it. My hot takes are on paper. My favorite one might be just that I think Patrick Mahomes has less good luck with the dropped interceptions this season, and it costs the Chiefs a playoff spot. Because I think that their offensive line was only bad last year because of health, and then they just rehashed it. So you're going to take 4 or 5 games at least to get continuity back for. Even if they are better skilled, you have to teach them the system, get them in the same groove. They still haven't addressed any other wide receivers stepping up besides Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Kelsey's great. CEH hasn't shown to be anything more than a satellite back yet. And when you give him volume, he's good, but he's not great. And Mahomes led the league in dropped interceptions last year. And so we've seen the blueprint. Tampa Bay exposed that blueprint. I think even if their line was healthy last year, Tampa Bay was going to give them fits because halfway through their Week 7 matchup, we saw that click. We saw that defense exploit a weakness. And Tampa Bay was undefeated after that game, and Kansas City was 500 after that game. So it's I think we've seen the blueprint, and I'm questioning the validity of the dynasty, if you want to call it.
So, Bo, do they win Week 1? Cleveland, what happens? Week 1, they get upset, or Cleveland's got good defense?
Cleveland's going to stomp them.
Oh,
there you have it.
That's a hot take.
I think Mahomes might throw 3 picks in that game because you have a blueprint. You have a team in the Browns that has a great pass rush. They're destined to have a very good defense. They have too much talent. They have too good of a coaching staff to not have a good overall team. And you just come out and you got the Super Bowl hangover. It's real. We haven't seen a good team start off hot after losing the Super Bowl.
No, I agree. All right, so you can check out my work over at nimblewnumbers.com. I'm coming out with wide receiver 2 theory this year. I was working on the plane. I'm going to be working on it on the plane ride home. I'm buying the Wi-Fi so I can finish writing it. I've got it all laid out. I know all my guys. I'm really excited about it. So what I do, Field, if you don't know, if you haven't jumped into the Matt Harmon podcast business yet, I hadn't really either until now. And so that was pretty cool. And that wide receiver 2 theory article focuses on vacated targets, opportunities, wide receiver 2s that become wide receiver 1s. Last year, the wide receiver 1s that were drafted by us in the ADP that we created as a network of drafters, only 44% finished as the wide receiver 1. So you only had 14 out of 32 becoming the wide receiver 1s, and then you had 13 wide receiver 2s drafted becoming the wide receiver 1. So that's a lot of volatility. So if you can really nail down who are those guys who are going to step up and get those targets, like you said, the CeeDee Lambs of this year, and CeeDee Lamb, what a great – I mean, he was the poster boy, and then when Amari Cooper kind of got on the pup and they kind of just leveled out, I was like, can I put him still as the poster boy? I feel very now confident that I can, given your kind of bringing endorsement that it was going to be Chase Claypool. I love him. I love Chase Claypool too, but that is just something that that take is hot. And I like it, Field. It's a real game changer this year because he does have top 5 upside in that offense with the volume and the defense and the division they're in. And they got the gunslinger there in Washington. And, apparently the Giants are going to throw the ball a bunch because all they do is draft receivers and they sign receivers and all that kind of stuff. So apparently it's an arms race in the NFC East, and they're going to go for it. And so I think that's going to be a great thing. So check out wide receiver 2 theory on nimblenumbers.com. And then please download this podcast. And apparently, Field is your video of that throwing Matthew Berry, the jump off of the high pool. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. That just crushed it, man. That just that brought me down. Me and Bo were sending it to each other back and forth. Like, you see this? Do you see what Field just did? So we love you on Instagram, on Twitter, on all of your iterations, man. It's cool to be able to watch you in real time. So it's awesome.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on. It's always fun. Oh, man.
You were talking about a different video. I mean, I got it saved on my phone, like 4 different versions. I edited it down. I'm a terrible video editor, but I got it down. So this is
man!
Out of the whole 1 minute section, I got it down to 2 seconds.
Wow! All right,
2
well
seconds.
Done. 2 seconds. Okay. Wow.
Oh,
are we gonna see it or no? Okay. Well, it was an honor time with you guys. Here we go.
So Bo has a video he's trying to show of when you call him a legend. He's very proud of him. Bo's very proud of him being a legend. So Bo, show your legend video.
He's a legend.
It's not coming through, but there it is. And I just cut it down to 2 seconds where it just says Bo is a legend. And so that's the only part I heard. Really. Once you said it, I kind of just blacked out for a minute. So I don't believe you. But it's
you believe me. It's good.
It made my day, week, month, year just incredible.
I'd love to hear it. Well, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you having me on, and let's do it again at some point soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We love you so much, Fields. Have a great fantasy season, everybody. Get drafting and check him out over at Field Yates on Twitter and all the ESPN stuff he's doing. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.